Hey, welcome back to the Unschooling Mom to Mom podcast. I'm Sue Patterson, and if you're new here, welcome. I'm so glad you found your way to this space where we talk about unschooling and how to bring more confidence and trust and joy into your family's learning journey. Today, I want to talk to those of you who still find yourself wondering, but what about the subjects? What about language arts and math and social studies and science and all the rest? And listen, I get it. Most of us grew up thinking that learning had to be sorted into these tidy little boxes. So even when we know unschooling is about natural learning, it's completely normal to have those moments of doubt. You might catch yourself thinking, are we covering everything we need? Is there enough math? What counts as language arts when you're not assigning essays? So today I want to show you how these familiar subjects can show up naturally, especially in the spring. Because here's the truth, spring is full of opportunities to learn. And when we pay attention, we start to see how all the traditional subjects show up in real life. Let's start with language arts. This doesn't have to mean grammar workbooks and essays. It could look like listening to poems about blooming flowers or rainy days, creating your own nature scavenger hunt list, reading about spring myths or legends from around the world, journaling, storytelling, even chatting with a local gardener or someone at the farmer's market. It could be expanding their vocabulary about spring. New words enter their lives. You could write words up on a whiteboard so they could see them. Maybe check them off if they see a robin or lightning or a seed. Maybe they could add their own words that are indications of spring. When kids engage with language for a real reason, they naturally build vocabulary, comprehension, communication skills, and writing confidence. Now let's talk about math. We worry a lot about that, don't we? And the more I learn, the more I hear from other parents, people who love math, as well as other people who despise it. Our own school experiences often caused more math anxiety. Who knew that that would be what we carry into our adult lives? Luckily, we have this opportunity to create a different experience for our own kids, but it will mean that we don't duplicate the school approach when it comes to math. Luckily, the seasons step in and give us all kinds of concrete opportunities to hook our learning onto. And spring, so many hands-on ways to explore math without a worksheet in sight, like measuring how far apart your seeds are as you plant them in the garden, or measuring the little sprout as it pops up from the soil. And remember, measuring doesn't always have to be with a ruler. Sometimes we're eyeballing it and we're making a mental assessment of the height or the space. That's also math. Or we're budgeting for a new toy or game that's just released, or scrounging together some money for the ice cream truck as it returns to the neighborhood. Kids can track rainfall or temperature changes right in the backyard, or learn how to use the weather app on the phone so they can see all the data for the 7-day forecast. There's math when you look at the patterns in petals and leaves and butterfly wings, even baking spring treats. Hello, fractions and measurement conversions. The key is to notice the math that's already there and give your kids space to explore it with curiosity. Spring and science go hand in hand, obviously, but maybe that's less obvious for you. Maybe your school experience with science was a lot like so many people's experience with math. Maybe you've gotten the message that science is boring or dry or irrelevant, but it's not. Science is all about the growing and changing, the hatching and sprouting that's happening everywhere. Your kids might observe life cycles of frogs or butterflies or flowers, or they'll experiment with sunlight and shadows, or maybe they'll learn about pollination by watching bees at work and then going back to a YouTube video to find out even more. And that weather I mentioned when we were talking about math, seeing the patterns, learning about warm fronts and cool fronts, what's causing thunderstorms or spring winds, that's all science. Then Earth Day rolls around, and that gives us another chance to dive into sustainability or recycling or even composting. So that's science and social studies. No formal curriculum needed, just a willingness to follow their questions. So maybe it's hard to think of how social studies shows up in the spring. But think about how celebrating spring holidays from around the world, exploring traditions like Holi or Easter or Passover or Nowruz, visiting local farmers markets and talking to vendors or visiting women's history exhibits or local statues or historic markers honoring women or veterans, both celebrated in the spring. It's a good time of year to do community service. The weather is good for outside service projects. And learning about people and culture, history, and geography flows so naturally when you let curiosity lead. And you look around and see what's happening in your community. And then let's not forget fine arts, an area that thrives in the spring. You might paint with flower petals or natural dyes, or sketch outside in the sunshine, or listen to the music of the birds, dance like the wind, write spring inspired songs, painting eggs, or making tissue paper flowers. We see a lot of crafts inspired by spring. Visit some outdoor art festivals or even create your own. Art doesn't need to be taught in the traditional sense, it just needs space to emerge. So here's the big message: you are covering the subjects. They're just showing up in ways that are more natural and relevant to your life. And if you want a little help noticing those opportunities, especially when life gets busy, I have a new seasonal unschooling guide for spring. It's packed with pages of ideas sorted by subject, 16 spring holidays for you to explore, resource links, humor, games I've created for those who are wanting to learn more in this unschooling, homeschooling style, and 12 weeks of journaling pages so you can keep track of everything, documenting all the learning that's unfolding. If you've ever thought, I just want a little something to guide me without overwhelming me, this is it. And right now, you can get it for 25% off by joining my email list. I give discounts over there a lot, so you'll want to sign up for that. I'll drop a link in the show notes for you. And if you're a member of the Creating Confidence membership, you already have the spring guide over in our private circle. Members get all the guides in the membership portal for no extra charge. I was able to upload it for them on the spring equinox. So if you join the membership, it'll be waiting for you inside our circle platform. No need to purchase it separately. Remember, you don't have to create school at home. Learning is happening all the time, especially when you trust your child and lean into the seasons around you. Let spring be a reminder that growth happens naturally, with the right environment, a little sunshine, and space to bloom. Thanks for being here with me today. If this episode helps you feel more confident or reassured, I'd love it if you shared it with a friend or leave a quick review so more families can find their way to this unschooling path. I'll see you next time. Happy unschooling.